Dr. Steve Perry has joined me. He is called in and he is on the air. So I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and get him introduced to you. I was very quickly shared with you how we quickly met in the hallway at a conference that he was one of the keynote speakers. And oh, what an experience listening to Dr. Perry was. So when I read you his bio, it is not exaggerated. I had the experience of this live. So it says, Dr. Steve Perry's heart pumps passion and produces positive change. Featured in CNN's Black in America series, Dr. Perry is the most talked about innovative educator on the scene today. Perry is the founder and principal of what U.S. News and World Report has cited as one of the top schools in the country, Capital Preparatory Magnet School in Hartford, Connecticut. Capital Prep has sent 100% of his predominantly low-income minority first-generation high school graduates to four-year colleges every year since its first class graduated in 2006. Perry is in a hurry to transform the community. Born into his family's third generation of poverty on his mother's 16th birthday, Perry believes that the success of a life is determined by where you end, not where you start. It is this philosophy that inspired him to transform the lives of poor and minority children by providing them with access to a college education. Dr. Perry is a strong advocate of personal and civic responsibility in all aspects of life. He emphasizes the social issues that aim at building up both the individual and the community so that the next generation can be better contributing members of society. When Perry speaks, he reaches the heart of his audience to motivate change in themselves and their community. His secrets to success and calls to action are revealed in his new book, Push Has Come to Shove, Getting Our Kids the Education They Deserve, Even If It Means Picking a Fight. In addition to being the principal of Capital Preparatory Magnet School, Dr. Perry, MSW, is an education contributor for CNN and MSNBC, an Essence magazine columnist, best-selling author, and host of the #1 docudrama for TV One, Save My Son. And so I am humbly and honored to welcome him to the microphone of the Reading Circle with Marc Medley. Dr. Perry, good morning.
Thank you so much, brother. You said a mouthful there.
Yes, indeed. And like I said, I had the opportunity to experience you live at the Fatherhood Conference about a month or so ago in New Jersey. And I don't know if you remember, we quickly exchanged in the hallway, and that's how this day came about. And I thank Yusef for putting it together.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to be here. It's important to note that some of the things have changed. I'm no longer the principal of Capital Prep in Hartford, but in fact the head of schools of Capital Preparatory Schools. And we operate two charter schools, one in New York and one in Connecticut.
So that means you've grown even more since the bio was written. That's all right. You're on the move. You're growing, moving forward.
We have a very, very talented, hardworking team, and we have a community that is in dire need of more quality schools. So we find ourselves in the position to create new schools.
Well, I know that's right, and I understand where you come, because when I'm not doing this, I'm an educator as well. I'm principal of an urban school in a public school setting, and I know exactly what you mean. I'm doing everything on my end to make sure my school, even in the public setting, is becoming one of the best, because I took over 4 years ago one of the lowest performing schools in the state, and we've been slowly but surely moving us toward getting up out of that status. So I know of what you speak.
It's a hard, you said that you're in the public space, and I know you mean in the neighborhood space. As charter schools or public schools as well, but the challenge that we find ourselves with is no different than the one that you find yourself with, is that we are working in school systems that for generations have undereducated our children.
Correct.
And 100% of the seventh graders that we accepted this year are below grade level, and that is a daunting task, and there's no easy way to unring that bell. I don't think our community truly has the understanding that we need it to, in order for it to begin to rise up, because things are really that bad.
They really are.
Front lines. It really is that bad.
They really are, and that's why that day, the speech that you were giving at the Fatherhood Conference, everything is connected. The whole, because I mean, the other book I see that you have is Man Up, and a lot of what you were talking about at that conference was brothers and men stepping up to take care of their children, whether they're with the mom or not, whether they're in the house or not. There's no reason why you still should not be able to do something for your kids, and a part of that is being involved in their education. And it was so funny whenever you were saying how whenever a father shows up in the school, they make such a big deal about it, as if, but I mean, truth be told, that's what they're supposed to be doing.
Right. It is. But if we were all doing what we were supposed to be doing, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Correct.
And brothers are not handling our business as a group, and everybody knows somebody who is, but the fact is more of us know more of us who are not. And specifically what that means is there are too many black men who should be playing a meaningful role in their children's life, whether they have young children or adult children. We don't often have that as a conversation, who they're not. And what I mean by adult children, they're men who don't have access to their fathers and who are fathers themselves and trying to kick their way through the complications of being a father and or a husband, and would be nice to have a man who's been through that or is going through that, and for some level of counsel. So it doesn't go away, the responsibility of fathering, when your child turns 18. It stays with you until long after you've been put in the dirt.
That's correct.
That you pass on to your children should carry through to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
What I noticed, I observed while I was sitting there listening to your keynote, was you kept it real. Like, it was real talk. I mean, there was no, hose bar, there was no filter, there was no trying to sugarcoat or be politically correct. I appreciate that more than you could ever know, because I think more of us needs to be like that. But what I said to the folks that I went to the conference with, I said, he gave the real deal. And I said, the problem that I have, particularly with the African-American communities, when someone gives the real deal like that, folks take offense or get an attitude and start talking about, we don't need to be airing our dirty laundry, so forth and so on. My position is, no, we need to face it to fix it. We need to face what the issues are and then start addressing them. And that's what I was kind of getting after listening to you speak that day. Talk a little bit about your thoughts on, why you're not sugarcoating it.
Yeah, I could care less about hurting people's feelings. That's not really why I wake up in the morning to manage adults' unresolved issues. And it's the stupidest thing, really, to talk about airing dirty laundry. Are we serious? Almost 800 people were murdered in Chicago. I mean, the overwhelming majority of them are black, and the overwhelming majority of those were killed by black or Latino people. So the dirty laundry has been aired for generations. And one of our problems is that we get more fixated on who and how the truth is told than the fact of the telling. Given what you or I do for a living, there's no time for this. We are past that point in the conversation. This morning, after you and I talk, I'm going to be going to a community to work with them on the same issue. And for what it's worth, brother, if I never had to give another speech about us handling our business, right, I'd be all right with that.
I couldn't agree with you more.
I'd be cool with just waking up Saturday, hanging out with my family, going to watch my son play basketball, come back, play with the dogs, and clean the house, do normal people stuff. I mean, I don't delight in having to go to yet another city in another state and say the same damn thing. Like, man, come on.
Yes.
Like, how many more times do we have to have this conversation? And you have to look at the bizarre pathology that has taken us, that has overtaken us.
You're right.
We will stand in line in ungodly cold for a new pair of Jordans, yet how many of those same people are going to come to a parent-teacher night?
Absolutely.
And then on the same token, though, we have educated black educators who think that black people, the poor black people who are uneducated, are less than them.
Right.
The duplicitous relationships that we have with our own community. And then children, and I use the term loosely because they're mindful enough of their circumstances, who find themselves in high school with a 1.4 GPA.
Correct.
Who walking around like they're the ish. Like, you can't tell me nothing. Like, really? Little boy. Wow. I mean, there are so many touch points of conversation that need to be had that God knows I really, really wish I didn't have to, quote unquote, air our dirty laundry. Stop making so much dirty laundry. And
yes, indeed.
So much to be in the air.
And see, that's exactly my position. And when I say that, because before Bill Cosby got into this whole nonsense that came about with everything with that, I mean, he had the book Come On People, as well as he did that pound cake speech where he really kind of laid it out. Saying, I've heard Minister Louis Farrakhan for years. He said the same thing. I've heard others. I've heard brothers like you say the same thing. And like I said, the pushback really is always kind of like, I don't know why that brother said that. See, they take on that, oh, they think they better than us mentality whenever somebody's saying this is what needs to be done to fix. Right, exactly. But it's so...
I don't have time for that.
I don't either.
Because how long has it been, we've been, since the time that black folks been growing up and improving our circumstances, there's always been some idiot to say, you think you're better. What other community is there where progress is seen as a threat to the rest of the group? How absurd a notion is that? Because you, or anybody sees, we see things that are wrong.
Correct.
And they're wrong. They're wrong. You see these barbarians, these sick, vile human beings who hurt that little boy in Chicago. And, I said something about it on Twitter along the lines of what I just said. And there's always one who says, yeah, but, huh?
Right.
What?
Right. That's right.
What? Yeah, but what?
That's right. It is amazing. It is. And you're right. For those of us who live it and see it every day, because the example you used about the Jordans, I said the same thing. Oddly enough, I was just sneaker shopping. I only do that every 2 or 3 years. I didn't realize the prices were that as ungodly as they are. And when I was online looking at I actually saw a pair of sneakers for $1,500. And I said the average sneaker I see on the kids' feet that I serve is around that $150, $250 range. And yet they're the same ones, that will tell me that they can't buy a book bag or the uniform or the pencil.
School uniform.
Right.
That's the school uniform. And then we'll sit there and curse you out.
Yes.
Like you are their ex-boyfriend, baby father. Cuss you the F out. Literally using F words.
Yes.
Women calling a male or female principal. We're not talking about the doors off the hinges.
Right.
Man. Men talking about coming down there and fighting you.
Right.
You want to? First of all, you can come if you want, but you ain't beating nobody. Second of all, about what?
Right.
You ain't gonna talk to my son like that. Like what? Like get you behind the school on time? You're offended by that? You'd rather I say, hey, thanks for coming. An hour late.
That's right.
I had a parent call me, you were rude to my son. Because I said you should not come to school an hour and 15 minutes late. This is the first time. I don't care. It's the first time.
That's right.
What does that mean to me? What does that mean to me? It's only the first time. Yes, the first time this drunk driver got in a car and ran over somebody. It's the first time. It's the first time. Ain't the same, right? He needs to do it 6 more times in order for somebody to say, hey, you should cut that out. It's this level of pathology that we refuse to. We're so caught up in style over substance that we find ourselves in stupid debate.
Yes.
Stupid. And I say, I'm the first to say, and this is not against or for anybody. If the school's not working, shut it down. Period. I don't care if my school or anybody's school. If it ain't working, shut it down. Give the children access to school choice, just like I have as a parent and you have as a parent, and keep it moving.
That's absolutely right. And like you said, the arguments and the debates range from the sublime to the ridiculous. And see, again, like you, I keep it with my kids and parents extremely real. This week, I called each grade down by grade level and chatted with just each, like 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, on grade level. And I shared with them in terms of, because my school only goes to 8th grade. But my experience has been, I will have a desk full of report cards full of Fs, will not get one parent call. But whenever I now at the 8th grade level call off the dinner dance, I'll have a school full of parents coming up in there. I already ordered my baby gown. I already ordered my baby tuxedo. They were going to come in a Maybach. They were getting a horse and buggy. Now, they were coming there arguing, like you said, cursing you out over a dinner dance, but would not come out to get their report card. So you're right.
No. I'll give you one. I'll take it one further, brother. You call them to say, come get your kid for acting a fool. I ain't coming.
Right. Got that too, yeah.
You're not coming. You're not coming to retrieve your 11-year-old.
Right.
Nope. Y'all deal with him.
Right.
Okay, hold on a second. I want to make sure I understand. You rather me call the police and have them come bring this child out of this building. You do what you got to do.
Right.
Okay. But see, but again, that's one side of the problem.
Right.
On the other side, as you well know, you can have a black male science teacher. You go into his class, and you're like, you're not teaching.
Right.
At all.
Right.
Like, you're not teaching at all. What you're doing is robbing us all.
That's correct.
Of education. Like, you're stealing from us. And have him and his union come in and try to tear you a new one.
Man, you sure you ain't been here in Patterson, New Jersey?
I'm telling you right now. And you will spend the next year or two
correct
with them calling you every name that they can imagine. You sell out. You ain't black. You don't care. You corporate, blah, blah, blah. See, people don't understand just what's happening when you are the principal of a school.
Correct.
That serves black people. They don't understand what happens when you are a AAU coach in the community when this parent is ready to fight you because you won't play their 11-year-old.
Correct.
What? I overheard, true story, this football season, a father whose son got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, which he should have, from the ref, and his coach pulled him out of the game. I overheard this dude say, I'll see you. Don't worry to his son. Don't worry. He got to get to his car.
And see the danger and everything that we're talking about, because, folks, this is what I want to help you to understand where it all connects, because at some point, these same children that we're talking about, they're going to become adults. And the question becomes, what are we producing? And in terms of what are we producing, where are they going to be able to fit into society? And when we keep getting what we're getting, the prison, the pipeline, like you talk about some of the schools coming from the schoolhouse to the prison house, when you see that, some of these things that Dr. Perry and I are talking about is why we're getting that. And then when you have a
situation, take it one step further. It's not even so. some will go to prison.
Right.
But many will not.
Right. And what are they going to do?
It's not even, it's not either prison, death, or, whatever. It's not, there's a whole bunch of in between of this pathology.
Correct.
Of insanity that says to someone who comes to speak to black professionals about the scourge of men who don't take care of their kids.
Right.
He's out there airing our dirty laundry. What? Huh?
Right. Right.
Really? So that's what you take away? So what you'd rather I say? Well, those white cops shouldn't shoot black people.
Right.
We can do that, right? We can sit here and talk about white racists. We could do that. We could definitely do that. Yep, and it is true. We could definitely do that. Then what? Then what?
Right.
So let's say that we have that conversation. Then what do we do after that? Because the truth is that if all we did was hold each other accountable, we'd be so much further along.
Yes, indeed.
Than if we held other folks accountable.
Yes, indeed.
People do not understand what it's like to work in a school trying to move our community forward, fighting both the community and our colleagues, as well as our children, to get them to where they need to be. To fight politicians, 2-bit politicians who run for local boards of education,
right,
who don't have a freaking clue, literally have no daggum clue as to how to run a school.
Correct.
Or what to do and what matters and what doesn't. Hearing people, well, we don't get as much money as the other school. Well, prisons get the most amount of money. So if it was about money,
right,
then prison should be the best place to send your child. But it's more than that. It is that brother who, or that sister who talks to kids like they're a dog mess and who makes it hard because now she does something stupid as a teacher.
Right.
And then this insane mother comes in and she acts a fool. And then the child, who to some degree did make people really aggravated, we don't even talk about what he did in the first place because
right,
he got a bunch of adults acting badly.
Right.
So he gets off scot-free. So he should not have felt that little girl's butt. He should not have done that. And the teacher should not have gone at him like that. And the mother should not have gone at us like that. But at the end of the day, that child's behavior is codified. He stays.
Correct.
He doesn't get any better.
That's correct. It doesn't change. You're absolutely right. And you described it. I mean, I like them 3 C's, the community, the colleagues, and the children, for sure. And, I mean, and folks in the listening audience, again, Dr. Perry's keeping it real. That's what we experience. And as
every
educators
day.
and principals, every day.
Freaking day.
And
every day.
That's it.
That's what you wake up, you walk into the building, we're thinking, today we're going to do it. Today it's going to happen. And the first thing you see is one of the grown people who you're paying a good amount of money, because people don't realize that teachers do make really good livings.
Yes, they do.
Really good livings, especially in the Northeast, especially in New Jersey.
Correct.
They make a lot more money than people think. Average salary in most cases $75,000 plus 33% benefits, which puts each one of them on average, up over $100,000 in many communities. People don't realize that.
That's correct.
Don't realize that, but that's real grown people money. One of those real grown people doesn't come to work today.
That's correct.
You got a headache. A headache just like you have a headache, just like everybody had a headache, just like anybody who wakes up with a head has a headache. And then you got to find somebody to go into her class.
Correct.
And then the kids, seeing that, turn into kids. Like, it's a party up in this mug. And then, first thing you see, this child coming out of uniform again and late with an attitude.
Correct.
And so you do what you think you're supposed to do. Hey, son, where's your uniform? I ain't got it. Oh, that's your whole answer, huh? Yup. Call my mother. Or here's the new one. This fool will FaceTime his fool of a parent. Right there.
Yes, that's right. They will.
Literally.
They'll whip
right
that cell phone out. That's right.
Talk to my mother. Tell my mother that. tell your mother when I feel like talking to your mother. And she in the background, who is he talking to like that? He ain't going to talk to me like that. And it ain't even 7:10.
That's correct. I have the mic button off, and I'm sitting in here hollering. I'm laughing because that is my experience. And the thing is, you've traveled worldwide. You've traveled across the country, all venues, different types of people, and yet you're sitting here describing the same exact experience that we have. You're absolutely right. And
it ain't even 7:10. And then you work at the district. When you work for the district,
right?
Then some clown from the district who's trying to keep his made-up job, assistant superintendent of such and so, comes in, and you look, and there's 6 emails from them about this new way that they're going to do the thing that they've always done wrong, that somebody saw at some conference that they only went to the first session of because it was in Las Vegas, and they didn't even want to go to anything else except for the conference. So they got to come back with something. And now you and your staff have to do some sort of professional development to try and figure out something that ain't going to work. It's not even going to work. It's not even going to work. And then you find some activist board of education member who she really needs to get a job. Like, for real. She just needs to get a job because this board of education thinks she's taking too seriously, but ain't doing the work to understand what it is. So she comes in on her political thing, and she's going to walk through the school and want to see what's going on. Going to check up on people. This is what it looks like.
It is. He's, like I say, he's keeping it real, and he's giving it to you straight with no chaser. And that's the real deal. And that's why I say for the people on the outside looking in terms of schooling, that's exactly right. And then the expectation is, which is why we went into the business to begin with, is to produce functional children that one day the hopes will be they will be functional adults. I share, Dr. Perry, with the students how many times I walk up behind an ATM to somebody who don't know how to read, and the ATM keeps spitting back all these messages, and they have no clue of what those messages are saying. It takes them forever because they don't know what it's saying. And now the ATMs have become more sophisticated, so they ask you more questions as you're trying to transact. So they stand there even longer.
But the other side of this is, caught in the middle of all of this is the 80% of kids and parents who are just good people.
Yes.
Who don't make life hell for the rest of them. These kids who really just wanted to do math today. They want to see that little girl that they like, and they want to, they're starting to put cologne on and starting to brush their teeth finally. And they just want to be regular kids. They really ain't trying to get all up in this. But when they have a teacher in front of the class who can't control the class, they feel unsafe. And when they feel unsafe, they feel like if she can't on her business, then I need to let these fools know, you put your hands on me, it's about to be on.
That's right.
So then you create this contentious environment within the classroom where you get good kids who start to act badly because they have adults who are not handling their business, and then they got adults at home telling them if somebody says something to you, punch them in the face, stab them in the throat, do all these stupid things that grown people actually say.
Yes, they do.
Little kids actually say to little kids, and then they don't learn how to read, write, and compute, and so they begin to feel badly about themselves. And what happens is you find yourself with a child whose self-esteem is so ungodly low that he will do anything to get some attention, and they really don't care as long as they get attention, and they won't stay after school. This is the place where we find this is the modern schoolhouse. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is. And we could change it if we, quote, unquote, air our dirty laundry. If people really realize how insane it is, because it really is insane. You look around, and it's easy to live this so long that you begin to think that this is normal.
Correct.
But it's not. This is not normal. This is the furthest thing from normal. It's so abnormal that it is pathological. And we, because we so badly want to protect something that we think is a secret among black people, that one of the very methods that we would use to improve our circumstances, which is to talk honestly about it, we say we don't want to do that.
Correct. That's why I was sitting there. I don't know. You probably couldn't have, but I probably was one of the loudest ones in that audience that day. I was in your amen corner, as they call it in church, because I said, wow, finally somebody that will take it to, and like you said, the fact that we were even at a fatherhood conference didn't make any sense. When you said that, I
right,
said,
you know, people, like, think how crazy that is. But let me just tell you, that was the second fatherhood conference I went to in New Jersey, in the same town. The second one. And let me tell you, both of them were full.
Right.
With women.
Right.
So 2 fatherhood conferences in the same general area of New Jersey, attended by women. And nobody's looking around like, hey, this is kind of crazy. Don't you think this is crazy? Don't we? How nuts do we look as a community when we got to call together a conference on getting black men to raise their children? That's crazy.
It is.
We have crossed over into a place where if we don't fix it, it's going to all be bad.
Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely, and that's the hard part for those of us who see it. Because I generally talk in analogies and metaphors to help the kids understand where I'm trying to get them to go. So whenever I talk to them, I'll say it's almost like I have a crystal ball. And it's hard for those of us who have that crystal ball to sit there and watch that train wreck coming. And like you said, and we're sitting around talking about airing dirty laundry, and yet, like you said, it's not doing anything but getting dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. It has to be aired. It needs to be talked about, and then some action plans and execution needs to come about. I mean, and just the recognition of the silliness. Because I couldn't have agreed with you more. I was at the conference, the district let me know, and I said, oh, I'm going. Because I've done a lot of stuff within the various schools I've served, of getting dads more involved. But when you said that, I said, he's absolutely right. The fact that we have to even have a conference on fatherhood is ridiculous.
And we're not even embarrassed. Nobody looks around and says, "Are we? What's the next conference we're going to have on motherhood?" Like, really? That's where we find ourselves? That's what we're doing now? Here it is, Bill. The truth is that there are cats like you and others out there who see the problem and are not afraid to speak truth to power and then do something about it, and who are unapologetic about the fact that we absolutely must, it's not an option, hold each other accountable. And so when that little boy comes in there out of uniform, send his behind to the office, call his mother, as angry as she may be, so to come down there and bring the uniform or come get your kid.
Correct.
It's just that simple. And when that dude is not teaching science the way he's supposed to, like you're being paid to do, does black behind, I don't care how black you are, you better teach these kids, and I don't care how long your union gets in here, me, you, and them, we going to get it in.
And you know, the crazy part is as you're giving each of these scenarios, folks' faces are popping into my mind.
Look, and then when that mother threatens to come down there and do something, hang up on her. Because you ain't got time in your day to have anybody. Your wife ain't calling you, talk to you like that. Who does this fool think she is?
That's right.
You gonna talk to me like, wow. And we don't, and I don't even get the fun part of the relationship? You gonna talk to me like this? Crazy.
It is crazy.
I'm going to tell you right now, listen, I'm telling you what I do. I'm telling you what I do. Somebody called me and said, you're effing rude. That was the last thing that they got to say. Because the next thing they heard was a dial tone. I ain't got time for that.
I know that's right.
And they do what they do. I'm gonna call you. Call who you want.
That's right.
You could call Jesus, and there may be some miracles. I tell you what, one of the miracles ain't gonna be unsuspending your child.
I know that's right.
He won't be here tomorrow. How about that?
Yeah, we get that threat. I'm going for us. Central office is called 90 Delaware. I said the same thing. I'll put you in my car and take you over there.
Here is the name.
Yeah, exactly. Name, number.
You should have and tell him to call and then have him fire me. How about that? But I tell you what, all that can happen and your son still be suspended.
Still be suspended. I know that's right. I mean, it is, for those of you in the listening audience, I am, as you can see, I am having a ball because this is the way in the conference it was, as he was sharing different things in the conference to make you think and reflect. And they may come across as funny, but they're real deal. Because even at the conference, we were talking about how, in some respects, the very thing that the women want the man to do, he's stopping him from doing.
On purpose.
Right. Exactly.
You say you want this man to be a father, but he comes to there while you're having a baby, and the first thing somebody does is take the baby from him. Like literally. Somebody who's second removed, a mother, grandmother comes and just takes the baby from him. Here, come on, I'll take him. Okay. I'm supposed to do what now?
Right.
Yeah, you're doing that wrong. I'm doing it wrong. So there's a right way to put a pamper on. Okay? And then told over and over and over again how bad we are at it.
Right.
And then one time, then the brother leaves. He's like, well, then forget it.
Right.
I ain't doing this no more. Y'all don't need me. Oh, you ain't nothing. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So the very thing that you're trying to avoid, you've now set up.
Demanded.
Yes.
Demanded. Sat there and played your sons against their father. How many times have you seen that? Oh, he's mean. Because he's trying to discipline his boy? Because he's trying to make him comb his hair?
Right.
Wash his behind? And he ain't going to sit here and listen to you tell him why it's too cold for your son to shovel, but it's warm enough for his father to get out there and shovel.
Right. Right. I mean,
and that doesn't sound crazy.
Right. And that's what, like you said, the psychology behind some of this stuff, it is like, it will, when you really sit down and start picking things apart, like you just said, well, why is it he can't come out here? And he's old enough and strong enough.
Oh, look, he could go, if you told me you were going to take him skiing and snowboarding, his behind would be out there for 6 hours without complaint. But he can't spend 20 minutes out here walking behind me as I push this heavy behind snowblower. But then you want the father to come in the house and be gleeful.
Right. That's exactly right. So the point in this part of the discussion is, women, you play a role in this too. You're not off scot-free. And as he said, at that conference, it was predominantly females in that conference.
And they know what I said was right.
No, they did.
Each one of them knows there's been a time where fathers tried to do something like father, and they treated him like he's a village idiot. And he's tried to be the disciplinarian because ain't nobody else going to discipline the kids. And when he did, everybody everywhere got all over this dude's behind. You too rough on him. Why you got to talk to him like that? Why can't you be nice? Because I'm not happy with him. So I ain't going to be nice to somebody who I'm not happy with. And by the way, you can't think you're a better parent than me because you're a woman.
Correct.
Like, and listen, brother, I've seen educated, black, educating men who are educators whose wives and children's mothers don't work in education, telling them how to parent a boy.
Right.
And doing it like, and not even thinking, you know what, this brother actually does this for a living.
Right.
So if one of us knows how to do this, so this brother is an educator, and he's a man. And I'm telling him how to parent a boy.
That's correct.
And I ain't thinking twice about it. I'm looking at it. and nobody says that is kind of crazy, actually. That one is kind of crazy. When you put it that way, that this man does this for a living, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years experience working with children. And he's a man. And he's been in this child's life as long as I have. He was there when it started.
Correct.
He's been there all through it. And I'm telling, not suggesting, I'm telling him how he shouldn't talk to this boy.
Right. Right. And, right there, you just said it, because there were a lot of things as you were making your keynote. It was kind of like when you put it that way. And see, that's the issue. I mean, people need to put things that way, for lack of a better phrase. Folks need to think about in terms of putting things that way. And I'm laughing because I had a mother of a child who I retained. And what the conversation back in the summer was, let's see how he does the first marking period. And if he's holding his own, his grades look pretty good, and I'll consider maybe placing him in his rightful grade. The kid's report card looks no better this year than it did last year. And the mother comes in there, and she's going to demand that he goes up to the next grade level. And so she says, I don't think he needs to stay retained. I said, but I'm the educator. Yeah, but he still needs to go to his next grade. I said, but how are you going to tell me who is I said, that's like telling the doctor you're not going to take the medicine. I said, that's like telling the professional, well, me and his father don't think it. Yeah, of course you and his father don't think, but you're not the educator. So I sit here and laugh at your story because, yes, that happens between educators and spouses as well. But I mean, all of these things, the listening audience, connect to why we're seeing what we're seeing and getting what we're getting. And people many times will question why they just don't understand. They just don't understand why kids are not doing this, or teachers or schools are not, or this. But it is so much all connected. Some of these things that we have been chatting about for our time on the air here, and it's the reality. Dr. Perry's in New York and Connecticut, and I'm over here in New Jersey, and I would probably bet that if I talked to anybody on the West Coast, we'd probably be getting similar conversation.
It'd be all of us doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we got to keep having these conversations. So, brother, I appreciate you having me on air this morning.
Man, I appreciate you more than, like I said, you had me thinking and laughing that day at the conference, and you've done the same this morning. Listening audience, I know he's done the same, and I know he has the dash because he's off to yet another conference because, I mean, these are issues that's got to be, like he said, it's got to be fixed. And as I've been sharing with our teachers and students and everything, this cabinet team and president that we just put in is a team full of billionaires with a mindset of we don't have to, nobody gave us anything and we got here, so we don't quite understand why we need to be giving you anything to get to where you're getting. So I'm trying to help kids understand you need to prepare yourself in the event some of these programs are pulled. In the event that some of these programs don't exist at the time when you think you're going to rely on them, that's what we're trying to prepare you for. And they'll look at me like I'm clueless. But I said, you need to understand some of these things may go away based on who's in office. So we have those real conversations as well. But it's all connected. And once people begin to see the things that Dr. Perry and I were talking about, the parenting, the school system, the Board of Education, the administrative teams, the when you get into the superintendents and this and that, he's so right in terms of folks making laws who've never stepped foot in a classroom other than when they were a student. It's all connected. So, Brother Perry, Dr. Perry, keep doing what you're doing. Keep keeping it
all
real.
All right, my man.
Keep keeping it real. Don't back off. Keep it real.
All right, blood. Take it easy.
You do the same. Thanks again. Take care now. All right. Again, that was Dr. Steve Perry. That day at the conference, the same way he was just now, and he is so on point in terms of, as I said, keeping it real. And one of the things that aggravates me more than anything else, as we were saying, particularly with African Americans, I don't know about other groups, maybe other groups do it too. I'm not in that group. I know of the group, but I'm not in the group, so maybe they do it too, but I don't think so. As I said, I've listened to Farrakhan's speeches years ago in terms of doing for self, learning for self, becoming educated, not being reliant. Malcolm X